suitable and sufficient, right? And we have seen certain criteria, right, for risk assessment. We have seen what is hazard, what is risk assessment, what is risk. We have seen example also. We are into risk assessment now. We have seen the definition of risk assessment. Now we will see what are the steps involved in risk assessment. 5 steps are there. Okay. Number 1. Step 1. Identify the hazards. Hazard identification. Okay. Hazard identification. Very important part of the risk assessment. If you identify the hazards, then you can do something. If you are unable to identify the hazards, you can't do, right? You can't go for the proper remedies, right? Yes. So hazard identification is very important part of the risk assessment. Number 2, step 2, decide who might be harmed and how. Who are the people who will be harmed because of those hazards and how they might be harmed. There are many ways, right? How they might be harmed, there are many ways. They may be falling, right? They may fall, slips and falls, electricity, paints, right? Slippery floor, fall from height, anything, lack of oxygen in confined spaces, release of the hazardous gases, how they might be harmed. So you need to identify. Okay? This is step 2. Step 3, evaluate the risk and decide on precautions. Evaluate the risk. Evaluate the risk. What is the meaning of evaluate the risk? What is the amount of risk?
Estimate.
Exactly.
Estimate the risk.
Estimate. Evaluate. Evaluate the risk. First you need to evaluate. Then we need to estimate. First we will evaluate. Then we will estimate. Okay. Evaluate the risk and decide on precautions. What precaution has to be taken for what type of risk? It should be matched properly. Is it clear? Right? A person working at height, you are giving a respiratory mask for him. It's of no use. What should be provided to the person working at height? Safety harness, barricading, the guardrails, all those things should be proper. Proper training should be there. The person working at height, training should be provided. So these are the proper precautions for the person working at height. If I am giving respiratory mask which is not matching at all, so it should be properly matched. Is it clear? Right. Record your findings and implement them. Note down whatever you are finding out. Please note it down. Right? Whatever you have seen, whatever you have identified, hazards, people, property, environment, temperature, situations, all the things you need to note down in the proper structure. Okay? This is also very important. Record your findings. Note down your findings. Whatever you have observed, you need to note down. And implement them. Implement the precautions. What you need to implement? You have decided that you need to barricade that particular area, isolate that particular area. You need to implement them. See that it is implemented. Is it clear? Right. Finally, step 5, review your assessment and update if necessary. You need to review frequently and regularly the risk assessments. It is a legal requirement also. Risk assessments are to be reviewed regularly. It is a legal requirement. It is not that I have done the risk assessment, okay, for 1 year I will be free, I can sleep. No. They are to be reviewed based on many things. Even though there are no changes, you need to review it. If the time has passed for a long time, you need to review. It needs review. Risk assessments requires reviews. Is it clear? Right. These are the 5 things. Identify the hazards. Next, decide who might be harmed and how they might be harmed. Number 3, evaluate the risk. Right? And go for the proper precautions. Decide on precautions. Number 4, record your findings and implement them. Number 5, Review the risk assessments. So these are the 5 things, 5 steps involved in risk assessment. Identify, you need to write only these 5. Identify the steps involved in risk assessment, you need to write all these 5. Outline, elaborate.
Explain.
Got it?
Explain all the things.
Explain. But don't waste much time, because if you, for example, if it carries 8 marks and you are spending half an hour or 45 minutes on this question, you may lose marks in other questions. You may not be able to attempt other questions. All are equally important. All questions are equally important based on the marks allotted. Okay? Right. So now clear, these are the 5 steps. We will see in detail one by one. Identifying hazards. Right? You see this, what this guy is doing? Identifying the hazard from very near. Huh? Right. Okay. Sources of harm. What might be the sources of harm? In identifying hazards, you should know what are the sources of the harm, like people, equipment, materials, environment, systems, and or situations. People, right? Sources of harm. Sometimes people may also become hazard. How? Like for example, some person is coming from this outside this wall. A person is coming forcefully inside the door, right? Has opened the door. I'm just standing here and speaking with you. What happens?
Somebody come.
So I will be injured. Correct? The person has become hazard for me. Correct? So in this way, people sometimes unknowingly or knowingly, people may become hazard for us. They may create harm for us by mistake also. Right? That is first thing. Equipment. Equipment here, what is the equipment? Wood cutting equipment is there. Tools or equipment, machines. So they also will be the source of harm. Correct?
Right.
So as I told you, entanglement hazard will be there. Electricity because of the equipment. Right? Drawing in punctures, sharp edges, or heavy loads falling on the feet, right? So equipment, load will come here. Material, in material, like substances, like for example, wood cutting is going on here. Okay, the sawdust which is coming out of the wood, if you inhale, that is also a hazard. It may create harm. Correct? Carpenters, people work, people do the carpentry work. They, in the air, they will have the dust. Painting, again, vapors of the paint.
Coating.
Exactly, coating, painting, all those things. So, the material, what is the material? Paint, wood, all these things are material or substances. Concrete. In construction site, lot of dust will be there, the material. So all these materials is also the source of harm. Okay? Environment, how environment is harmful?
Heat.
Hot temperatures, cold temperatures, extreme cold temperatures, extreme hot temperatures, humid temperatures. Fog, very good. Fog is also one of the best examples. Wind, sandstorm, right? All these things. Environment. Sources of harm. And finally, systems and situations. Systems and situations. System, like for example, on what system you are working. Continuously a call center employee is working like this and he is doing some other work on the system. From morning to evening, he has to answer the call. If you don't have the earphones, right? Earlier, in olden days, they used to have like this, right? So, disorders.
Right.
Many ergonomic problems based on the situation and systems. Is it clear? So this is another source of harm. The structure, the system, the workplace, they are having. So because of that, people may be injured. So these are some of the sources of harm. Right. Forms of harm. What are the different forms? Sources we have seen. Forms. In what way? Right? Slippery surfaces. Correct? Slippery surfaces is one of the forms of the hazard. Height, working at height, sharp edges, unstable items, heavy items, poor ergonomic layout, asphyxiant materials, electricity, toxic substances, moving vehicles, noise, work pressure. We all know this, these are all basic terms. These are all basic terms. But whether they are harmful to us, this we need to identify. We all know these common terms. But how they can create harm to us? In what form? So these we need to identify, recognize, then we need to go for the proper control measures. Still we are in identifying hazards, step 1. Still we are in step 1 only. Okay? Forms of hazards. Any word which you are unable to understand? Asphyxiant materials, lack of oxygen. Asphyxiation, lack of oxygen, suffocation, right? Like for example, if you go to confined spaces, there you will find this hazard. Asphyxiation. Asphyxiation. It is called as some material which may cause lack of oxygen. Like for example, in confined space, you are doing some hot work. Hot work means, yes, not other things. Okay. Hot works like welding, cutting, brazing. What happens? Oxygen consumption will be there. Correct? Right. So that is called as asphyxiant materials. Because of that activity, sometimes activity will lead you to some deficiency. Because of that, people will be exposed to that harm. Earlier there was no problem, there was oxygen in confined space. But now because of the activity, the oxygen has gone down. The oxygen level has gone down. Now it is a serious issue. Now it is a hazard. That atmosphere itself has become the hazardous. Is it clear? So it is called as asphyxiant material. Okay. Now, job safety and task analysis. Like what are the different operations, we can say different tasks, different jobs. People might do installation, normal operation, breakdown, cleaning, adjustment, dismantling. These are some of the safety and task analysis of the job. Task analysis, like installation, like some people are erecting a scaffold, installing the scaffold. This is there. What are the hazards? Activities. These are all activities. Okay. Next, normal operation. Okay, scaffold has been installed. They are doing plastering work. That is normal operation. What might be the harm over there? Normal operation. This is number 2. Number 3, breakdown. Some machinery has breakdown. The work has been stopped. Forklift has broken down. Has been broken down, right? Like some technical problem was there, it has been stopped. Because of the forklift which is not moving, it is there fixed in one place, what might be the harms? It is not there in the proper place. So what might be the harm? Is it clear? We need to analyze, we need to assess all these things. That is also that will become the hazard. When it is operating, that was not an hazard. When it has when it is breakdown, then it has become the hazard for other people, other equipment. Correct?
Right.
So this is another thing. Cleaning activity is also housekeeping activity, we can say. Housekeeping, cleaning activities. This also is one of the activity. Maybe sometimes work also will be going on, cleaning also will be going on. So it may interact with each other, it may also be creating some harm to the people who are doing the housekeeping. Adjustment, some type of adjustments, like in the machinery you may do some adjustments temporarily, so even that may lead to some harm in the machineries sometimes, right? And finally, dismantling, like the best example is scaffold dismantling. Scaffold, while dismantling also there may be hazards. So we need to check before dispensing also.
Dismantling means remove.
Removing. Remove. Assembling, disband.
December like that. Assemble.
Reassemble.
Assemble,
December.
Reassemble.
we can say, right? Right. Contingent and continuing hazard. Situation based. Contingent means situation based. It is not there always. This hazard is not there continuously. It is situation based. Contingent and continuing hazards. Two different things are there. Sometimes situation based hazards will be there. Sometimes continuous hazards will be there. Situation based, as I told you, some welding work is going on in the confined space, right? So there a situation will arise, oxygen level will be reduced. Contingent, situational, situation based. And continuous hazard, what might be the continuous hazard? Like lack of lighting inside the confined space is a continuous, right, hazard. So we need to go for the control measure. So mechanical, electrical, thermal, noise and vibration, radiation, toxic material, ergonomic design. Right? What is mechanical? Some with respect to machinery, mechanical hazard. Next, electrical shock, etc. Next, thermal, heat, with respect to heat, high temperatures. Next, noise and vibration. Noise, we all know, unwanted sound is called noise, right? And vibration, the shivering of the body because of some activity, right? Mechanical activity, like you can see this here. This person is exposed to vibration and noise. Next, radiation. Radiation also is there. Radiation, like people working in X-ray, medical, right? If you take medical, X-rays is radiation, and if you go to some nuclear plants, there also radiations will be there, right? So these type of radiation are the examples. Toxic materials like gases. H2S is the best example for toxic. Petrol, it's a carcinogenic, right? H2S, methane, benzene. So many chemicals are there, many which are toxic.
And benzene is very dangerous. Benzene is very dangerous.
Benzene is very dangerous.
Yeah.
He's taking benzene, that's
Yeah.
why I remember.
Yeah, my workplace is there. My location is there. Always.
Yes, toxic materials. Ergonomic design. What is ergonomics?
Ergonomic.
Posture.
Repeat.
Yeah, repetition of the same job, like poor posture. Like for example, as I told you, the barber has to do his job from morning to evening like this only. What about his hands? Continuous. And the butcher, the slaughter, like the meat cutting. The type is continuous. If the keyboard is here and I am sitting here, what will happen? So within short time, the person will stop from the job. So it should be proper posture. Position should be proper, right? So if it doesn't follow, ergonomic related problems will arise. Is it clear? Right. So these are some of the other hazards: contingent and continuous hazard, continuing hazards. Right. Who might be harmed and how? This is the second step. In the first step, till now we have seen the first step. Identify the hazards was the first step. In the second step, who might be harmed and how? The first category relates to the general workers that conduct work in a workplace and will include those that conduct manual tasks in their work. In the first category, normal routine work, people who are doing the routine works, they all comes under first category. Routine work like